Okay, we're live. Now we're live. How's everything? That was fun. You didn't see what was going on behind the scenes. A few little technical difficulties, but it's Zoom. It's bound to happen. I'm Nick Baldwin. How's it going? I got my friend here, Danielle Gregorich, and Danielle has an amazing story, and she just wrote an incredible book called Suck of Sobriety.
You have it.
Of course, I bought it. I told you I bought it.
I know. So cool.
The Essential Daily Guide, Embracing the Suck of Sobriety. Danielle's story is pretty incredible. Lots of obstacles that she had to overcome in her very short life, from a stroke, cancer, getting sober. And she used to be a realtor. You're not a realtor anymore, but you were one of us at one. Yeah, you got out. You were smart. But
yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say that. Okay, we're going to get this one way or another. But she's not an agent anymore. But she was one of us. She understands what we go through, and her story we can definitely relate to. A lot of us throwing in the towel too early, like we put a lot of things in our way that don't need to be in our way. And when someone actually has things that get in their way that are very difficult to push through, hearing how they do it can be very inspiring. It's almost like, when I hear about someone who gives up because, I don't know, their dog died, which by the way is very tragic, don't get me wrong. But it's like, okay, well, let's look at this person. We all have our own problems, but this person had this going on. What's your excuse? And it's nice to hear these stories. Not nice, but it's good for us to hear the stories, because it allows us to really peek inside someone else's life and realize, okay, you know what? Like, there's people out there that are seriously experiencing things that are a little bit worse, and they were able to get through it. So that was my point in that very long-winded introduction. But thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. And, I'm going to just touch on what you said, because actually the comparing of tragedies or the comparing of trauma, I believe, is extremely unhealthy. Like, what is devastating to me might not be devastating to you. Like, I can handle the big shit. It's those little tiny small hiccups in life that get me. And it really does. And so, but when I start comparing, like, oh my gosh, people have it so much worse than me. I shouldn't be feeling this way, or I shouldn't be depressed. I shouldn't be anxious. That can send me like down a horrible rabbit hole. So I really think that's important to kind of bring up, because the comparison thing, especially in real estate, man, you see people who, are brand new and they're just killing the game. It's like, dude, I've been in this business for how long? And I don't even have, 2 deals in the pipeline. But just know that that's all right, and you'll get through it.
Yeah. I also think, and I hope I didn't come across that way. I may have, but I think that, the comparison is very unhealthy, because like you said, we all absorb situations differently. It is, I think, important for us to hear stories of perseverance, because it helps us understand what other people are going through. Like, for instance, and I'm not making this about me at all, I just want to make a comparison, that, my 8-year-old son has Tourette. And so my wife will hear people say, well, it's not cancer. He's not going to die from it. And my wife Anne's like, that's not the point. Like, right. True, he's not going to die from it, right? But that's not what I'm trying to, that's not the message I'm trying to put through, right? And you should never undermine the way someone else is feeling, right?
Yeah.
Well, Danielle, let's talk about, you were a realtor at one point. You're not a realtor anymore, but you wrote this amazing book. And the book is like a journal in a sense, right?
Yeah, It's essentially like a daily guide. I'm a big, huge advocate of establishing a morning routine. And so, especially like in sobriety, that's a really big thing. Start your day off, and, some sort of like prayer, meditation, exercise, something. And I suffered a stroke really shortly into my sobriety journey, about 3.5, 4 months into it. And I lost my ability to speak, and I lost my ability to read, and I lost my ability to write. And, the neurologist basically said, you're probably not going to get it back. And I had to see a speech therapist, and she was like, the only way that you can kind of help yourself to get these abilities back is to write. And so I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And then, the idea came to me to kind of put all of the essential daily journals that I was writing into a book, because people were asking me, can you put this in a, box and I can read it or I can look back on it? And I was like, okay. And that's really kind of how it came about. It's, I had it wasn't like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a book. Like, it just came out of the blue, and all of a sudden it just, it kind of blew up. And I'm really grateful for that, especially, during quarantine. And, people really had to kind of take a look at their drinking habits, because, people that might have considered themselves as, a kind of moderate or social drinker, they found themselves isolated and alone. And then that huge spotlight was like, maybe this drinking is kind of a problem.
Yeah, we forget that, along with quarantine can come excessiveness in, areas like that. So how, because I've known you for many years, and I would have never have, I would never have guessed that you were going through that issue in your life. When did it, I don't want to talk about the past too much, but when did it become like something that you noticed was an issue? Because that's like the hardest thing to do.
It absolutely, it really actually kind of came to a head when I was diagnosed with cancer, like shortly after my daughter was born. And I had to kind of take a leave of absence from work, and I just became this stay-at-home mom, and I did not want that to be my life. And work was my escape. Being in real estate was my kind of, I fell back on that because I was kind of really, really absorbed, and I became a workaholic. And so as soon as that ability to work and that ability to be a part of the real estate industry was taken from me, that's really when my disease took off, because I was alone. I had just got diagnosed with cancer. I was prescribed a shit ton of painkillers. And so I was, popping painkillers and drinking, because I didn't know what else to do. My livelihood, my identity was essentially taken from me.
Yeah.
And, I don't think I wasn't in the mind space to acknowledge, like, oh, perhaps this drinking is a problem. Perhaps you should kind of take a look at it. But I think the depression, along with all the other stuff, kind of took me under. And, pouring a depressant upon depression is a recipe for disaster. It just is.
So I think people should hear, though, about how you kept going, because, you're in your early 30s, or I think you're in your,
I just turned like 37.
I mean, you're mature beyond your years, and I always thought that you seemed older than you are in terms of your mentality. Not, and I'm not saying you look older. I'm just saying that, like, when I got to know you, thank you very much for that. Mentally, you have an older mind, like, like you're more, and so, you get it. It's a compliment, Danielle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my point was, you were hit with a lot of obstacles very early in life, right? And what
Yeah.
was it that kept you going, right? Instead of going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me again, right? What was it that kept you going and in a positive mindset?
You know, for me, I had to really kind of come to terms and like really believe, like, to my innermost being that, you know, these obstacles that I have been handed, I would not have been handed them if somebody or something out there didn't believe that I could conquer them. And I'll be like dead honest, you know, if I could choose, I would not choose all of the hardships that I have endured. I don't
Right.
think anybody would want it.
Right.
But, you know, for me, especially when I had my daughter, I really had to come to terms with, she's going to look up to me. She's going to see me. I can either fall and crumble and fail and be in that victimhood, or I can rise and I can become, you know, this woman who can endure shit. And so for me, my daughter really kind of was the catalyst, because I know the same sex, you know, parent is essentially, you know, the biggest role. And so I just kind of suited up and showed up. That was really my only option. That was it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, you got, you know, you're a mom, you had a daughter, like you had no choice. Right.
Right.
And so, you know, I remember when you went through the cancer and you went through the stroke, and I had no idea that you were going through the drinking issue. But when you were writing all of this out, right, like your doctor's telling you, maybe write some stuff down. Was that like, what'd that feel like? You know, how did it feel to put all that stuff on paper?
I come from a really long family of secret keepers. We were not allowed to discuss anything. Like, you are going to keep that shit, all those skeletons stay in the closet. We're not going to, you know, let them out. And so as soon as I started writing about my struggles, writing about my alcoholism, writing about my addictions, writing about my suicide attempts, that was terrifying. Not only because I was afraid of how my peers were going to perceive me, but I really took a really big chance, because I didn't know if my family was going to essentially disown me, because we were not allowed to talk about anything. And so I just kind of came out after the stroke, just guns blazing, because I needed to step into my truth, and I needed to get rid of the secrets, because the secrets honestly were killing me. I mean, most people my age haven't had cancer and they haven't had a stroke before the age of 34. Like, it was a big deal. And so I just had to really just step into my truth. And I'm just amazed how the response has been, especially in the real estate industry. People just send me messages. It's like, I can't even tell you how much I have been struggling or how long I have been struggling. And so, you know, stepping into my truth has allowed other people to kind of own their stuff. And that's a big deal. And it's such an honor, truly.
You also mentioned earlier that a routine is very important, right? Whether it be a morning routine or just, is it like an all day routine, or is it something that is the routine
No.
keeping you, is it keeping you focused on something else? Is a morning routine then? Is that what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. In a morning routine. The other thing I was going to mention as well, for me, when I had the opportunity to work from home in real estate, that's another kind of key factor when my alcoholism took off, because I'm a big advocate of going into the office, like physically getting dressed, going somewhere, because for me, that's what I have to do. But because if I'm alone, in my own stuff and I don't have to kind of be accountable, that's a dangerous and slippery road for me. So I know, this whole cloud-based and all of this, for me, that probably would not have worked. I need to sit in an office and be accountable and be amongst other people. That's a big thing for me. But yeah, my morning routine now, because I don't, go to the office any longer, I had to start my day off. I have to wake up before my kids, because if I wake up to them, everything is a mess. Everything.
Oh, sorry. I had a little interruption. My son came in and my wife. I thought I was on mute. And now he's crying because he can't sit in my office when I'm on this. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's okay. But he's yeah, it's fine. He knows he shouldn't come down here right now at this moment.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
I'm not on a Zoom, but yeah. So what would you say? How long did it take you to get that morning routine down? Like to actually, or a routine in general? How long did it take you to like really make that a habit?
To be honest, because I've never been a morning person, like ever. You will never, ever see me in the office before 11 a.m. Like that was my thing. I don't go into the office before 11 a.m. And so now like I have to set my alarm at 5:30 in the morning to get up, because that's the only opportunity I can get alone before my kids get up. So that was a big struggle. I really, really had to train myself to realize like this is important and this is crucial to not only my sobriety, but to my sanity.
Right.
It really is. And that's really, and it's kind of sad how truthful that is. Just having that alone time and just kind of setting my intentions and setting my goals for the day, that's been a game changer, man. It awesome. Really, really is. Yeah, and I was like, I used to think these people who woke up at like 5:30 or 4:30 in the morning, I was like, they're unicorns or like they're aliens, because something is wrong with them. Who wants to get up with the birds? Like, are you serious right now? Right. It's just, it was crazy to me. But like now I understand and I get it. You'll never see my ass at the gym at like 4:30 in the morning. No, it's just not me. God bless you people who do it. I just don't think that'll ever be who I am.
What time are you waking up then now?
Now I wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
Okay. And I mean,
not that super early, but
no, that's normal. What and you have your husband's very supportive. So
yes.
Let's talk about like, what was it like for him, going through this with you? How did he add support? What were the things? I know it was up and down,
Uh-huh. It's it was really difficult, especially the first year of sobriety, because we had been married 10 years at that time, and he essentially got a brand new wife, and I don't think he liked this new wife a lot. Like I wasn't this.
Let's back up. We'll back up for a minute. So the sober Danielle he wasn't used to.
Yeah. No. Okay. Not at all. Because go ahead. For me, like when we were drinking buddies, like we had so much fun. We used to go on date nights and like, we'd get wasted and wasted, and it was fun until it wasn't. Like that's the thing with this, alcoholism. Like it's all great until it isn't. But like sober me, I had to, like, I needed his validation. I needed his attention. I needed his love. And that wasn't something that I had ever needed. I didn't need anybody when I had, booze and pills. So like, going to my husband, like, I need you to tell me that you love me. I need you to send me like a good morning text. That was just weird. That's just not me. And so like, it was a long kind of journey, kind of establishing who we are and sitting in our roles in this new marriage, essentially.
That's super interesting. So like, in a sense, like your love language changed. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah,
yeah,
big time.
Yeah, like you needed words of affirmation. Maybe you didn't need that before. And so this was a big adjustment for him. And, you know, I know that there was a point there where you didn't think it was going to work out after you became sober, right? Because it was something that was such a big adjustment. How did he then, how did you get to that point where he's now loves the new Danielle? How did you get to that point, or when?
It, it took about 18 months for me, sobriety. And, we really had to learn how to communicate with each other all over. And so we, it's so weird because the way that we communicate, most people think like that's just insane. For me, like I can express myself so much better through writing. So like anytime we would get in some sort of argument or scuffle, like I had to like take a step back and remove myself from the situation. And then I would kind of, send him a Facebook message on, my thoughts and my emotions surrounding, the argument. Right. And so he was able to like read that message alone and then process it. And then we would come together. But I'm telling you, just that kind of messaging worked wonders for us because we didn't have the emotions 100% involved. So we were able to kind of process it in our own way, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, totally. And your kids, did they sense that something was wrong at first and then something got better, or were they too young to realize, or, how'd that work?
I made the conscious choice to be 100% honest with my kids, because I come from a family. My mother was an alcoholic, and she really tried to shield us from that part of her life. And so that really actually did more harm than good. I had to basically carry her secrets and carry her trauma around it. So as soon as I got sober, I was 100% honest. I was like, look, Mom used to drink a ton. You used to see me and, I was having fun. I said, but the bottom line, it wasn't any more fun. And I was miserable. And so, my son was 10 at the time when I got sober, and my daughter was 4. And so I don't think she really understood it, but I was really transparent and really honest with them. And, because I didn't want them to feel like, oh, I can't discuss the fact that my mom's sober. I can't discuss any of it. So it really worked out well. And so hopefully, God forbid, if, they ever find themselves in that kind of situation, they'll know that you can be honest and people will be rooting for you. It's not this shameful, dirty secret. Yeah. We go through stuff and then we grow. That's it.
Yeah, that's great advice. One more question on that. Well, I want to move forward to something else, but I want to ask one question about, we talked about like, the pandemic and how people might be doing things that they normally wouldn't be doing, or having that extra glass of wine. What should we look for, right, in our friends or our family or even ourselves, if we feel like we might have that problem, right? Because everybody is like, oh, I'm gonna have the glass of wine with dinner, right? But when you're home all the time, we're hearing a lot of stories about this, right? What are signs that it could be an issue? We need to start paying attention to it, or if we notice it in someone else.
This is my ultimate test. If you think that you need to moderate your drinking, or if you think that you need to look a little bit closer at your drinking, you might have a problem.
Got it.
Because the majority of people who don't have any sort of issues, they don't really need to take a look at it.
Right.
It's just not even, it doesn't cross their brain. So I hear it all the time. So if you're questioning your relationship with drinking, perhaps it might be a problem, but maybe it's not. That's the thing. This is like, alcoholism is the only disease essentially that you get to diagnose yourself. I didn't get to diagnose myself with cancer. Like, no, an MRI diagnosed that. Like, but alcoholism is the only, thing that you get to diagnose yourself. And so there's some people that don't want to take a look at it, and they don't want to change. And, God bless them if they don't hit their bottom. But if you do, there's a way to overcome it.
So you're an active member in the recovery community, or do you, and you says that you're working at a treatment center. What's that role
Yes.
like for you?
It's I love, I don't want to say I love, but it's refreshing to me to see, especially women who are just broken and they just feel like there is no hope, like they're a lost cause. And to kind of see the light come back in their eyes, and to see that, them stand a little bit taller, and just, it's just amazing. I kind of equate it to, you find like a brand new agent who's just like deer in the headlights, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know. And then all of a sudden they, get a little bit more confidence in themselves. And I love watching people grow. Like, I just love it. I'm one of those people, I just want to root for everybody. I don't want to see anybody fail. It's baffling to me to see this, hateful and back and forth. It's like, can we just like all root for each other? Like, we're all in this together, man. We are.
Perfect world. I think we all would like to see that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's probably one of the things that really helped you, right? It felt rewarding, and, to go and see other people and help them through their struggles. And I love that. And that's you're volunteering, right? You're going to do that, and, just talking to these women. Is it?
I do. So I was hired on as a group for, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You first, please.
Yeah, no, I was hired on as a group facilitator in a treatment center. But I also go and, bring meetings into other places. And so that's all volunteer work, but I just love it. It's really cool.
That's awesome. So tell me about the title of the book. The subtitle, Embracing the Suck of Sobriety.
So
I don't know what that means.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just tell me what that means.
My husband's in the military, and he's active duty Air Force. And when he was in Afghanistan, he was miserable, and he would always tell me, I'm just going to embrace the suck. Like, that's all I can do. Just embrace the suck. And so, like, anytime I would come home, during my first year of sobriety, just like sobbing, and just, I wanted to give up so bad. Like, I just wanted to give up. And he's like, you need to just embrace the suck. Like, he's real hard ass, like, no nonsense, like, just embrace the suck. You're going to be all right. So, like, he didn't, coddle me and like, oh, you're going to be okay. And like, no, he's like, embrace the suck, suit up and show up, zip it. And I kind of needed that, because I'm kind of used to manipulating and making people come on my side. And he was like not standing for it. And so, that encouragement, it really kind of kept me going. And so the Embrace the Suck of Sobriety is a definite nod to him.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because listen, sometimes and the hardest things in life we don't want to do because they suck, and you just gotta deal with it, right? And so this is definitely one of those. So what's your favorite month in this book? Because every page is a different day of a month. What was your favorite? Because literally,
I don't even know. I like it. Yeah. I like January because when I was writing it, I knew that it was going to come out before 2020 was over. And so in my mindset, I figured people are going to need it in 2021. People are going to kind of need the hard truth and the encouragement to really embrace the suck, because there's going to be a lot of new people, you know, coming into the rooms and, you know, trying this whole sobriety thing. So I kind of put a little bit more effort essentially into the January months, because I figured if y'all got through 2020, like, you need some sort of encouragement to continue on your journey, because yeah, you know, 2020 was so difficult for so many people. I'm so fortunate that I wasn't one of those ones. 2020 was the best year of my entire life. And I don't have any shame around saying that, because I've had a hell of a lot of 2020 years before 2020.
Yeah. And you wrote every single morning, every day.
Without fail.
You know, and people think, oh, a journaling, that's, and I thought this way too. Oh, it's such a pain in the neck. But like, you don't have to write pages and pages and pages.
No.
Like, you know, most of them are, you know, you have photos, and then most of them are like half a page. It's just, you know, your thoughts right then and there.
Yeah.
And it can be very therapeutic. So that's awesome. And very transparent and vulnerable. Yeah. And you said that it became very therapeutic and played a crucial role during the first year of sobriety. So your second year in,
I'm almost the third.
Oh, almost the third. Wow. Is it at this point, like just normal now? Like, do you feel, because you know,
Yeah.
I know, yeah, it's just normal. Okay. So it does it get easier, you know, like?
Absolutely it does. You know, so my husband drinks. He's one of those weirdos that will like buy a 6-pack and drink 2 of them. I don't understand you people, but whatever, it works for you. So, you know, in probably the first 6 months, I would have to, if like he didn't finish the whole 12-pack or the whole 6-pack, I would have to pour each and every one of them out, because like I knew that they were in the fridge.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, they used to like talk to me like, come on, Danielle, drink me. And like, it sounds so crazy now, but that's really like where my headspace was at. So now, I mean, we have a, you know, bunch of booze in the fridge, and it doesn't bother me at all. And, you know, this is the biggest thing for me. When I got sober, I didn't want to stop, you know, hosting parties, or, you know, to stop, you know, going to barbecues, or like, I like to live life. I like to be that fun and, you know, party essentially girl. And so, you know, I think for me, like owning my sobriety and really like owning all of it, it doesn't, when other people are around me, they know that I'm sober, and they know that I held no shame about it. And so they're 100% comfortable around me. It's not like, oh, Danielle's here, we can't drink around her. Like, no, they're just, Danielle doesn't drink, and that's cool.
Cool. Yeah. I can totally understand, like, you know, you see a lot of movies where they're looking at the alcohol, and it's like essentially that, like, drink me. And I picture like the first couple of years being like that. But, you know, I guess, yeah, over time it just becomes, you know, I'm going to have that, you know, that Diet Coke or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Right. It's cool too, because now, like there's a whole new level, like they have all of these dry beers. So like they have Heineken 0.0. Like I'm a beer girl. I love me some beer. So, you know, I drink Heineken 0.0. Like I just like the taste of beer. I love it.
Right.
So it's cool now, because it's like not this weird thing that like I have to like have a Diet Coke or like a Sprite when I go somewhere. It's like, no, like I can still enjoy my life and have fun.
Oh, so you'll have the non-alcoholic beer, and the taste of beer will, you know, make it, you know, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, cool. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, do you think that some people recovering would feel like that isn't a good idea?
Absolutely. And thank God you brought that up, because I was gonna I was gonna bring it up as well. Yeah. You know, this is the thing with, sobriety and recovery. Everybody's journey looks different.
Right.
I have no shame, and I don't feel bad for people that they can't just, have the 0-0 beer or whatever. But for me, it doesn't trigger my obsession to want the real thing. It just doesn't. And so if it does it for you, then stay away from it.
Right.
But it doesn't for me. And so I hate when people try to police other people's recovery or their journey. It's like, stay in your lane, stay in the hula hoop, you'll be all right.
Yeah, everybody's different. Like you said, they experience things differently. No one experience is greater than another. And
No
if
way.
you now when you first decided to try that, were you nervous?
No, to be honest, I wasn't. And I feel like my journey looks a little bit differently. I don't know a lot of people who have suffered a stroke in sobriety. But my whole mindset, like, I equate drinking with a stroke. And so that stroke scared me more than anything.
Yeah.
And so it's just not an option for me. Drinking is just 100% off the table. And, I can't bank on, yesterday's sobriety. Like, in real estate, you can't bank on yesterday's deal. But, I just enjoy the day to day, but it just doesn't pop into my mind.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I think that's great. And yeah, like you were saying before, like, no, everybody has their own road to recovery. Everybody's looks differently, and you do what works for you. There's no wrong way or no right way. It's whatever keeps you from doing what you shouldn't be doing. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
What's the one thing, or maybe there's more than one, or it might be too hard to come down with one, that you want someone to take away from the book? And you can go to Amazon, Stroke of Sobriety. I posted the link in the comments. Stroke of Sobriety. You can get it there. It's self-published. So, give her some support, order it, get it on the Kindle. What's something you want someone to take away from it?
For me, I want somebody to read it and to identify with my struggles, and to identify the fact that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's going to be some days where you just hate your life. You have nothing to hate about it, but you just hate it.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be days where you hate being a mom. You just do. Doesn't mean that you just hate the whole idea of it. There's some days that are hard, man. And I just hope that somebody walks away knowing that you're not alone and all of this suck, and you can get through it. And just know, like, those moments or those days, they don't define you. They just don't. Just own your shit.
Yeah.
Own it, put it out there, and then all the power is taken away from it.
That was really what you said. Like, there's days where we're going to hate our life. We're going to even hate being a mom or being a parent. And I think that, like, I just want to say that, throughout the pandemic, I have said numerous times, and my wife has said numerous times, like, what if we just didn't have kids, right? Or like,
right.
Is it bad that I just really don't like being a mom right now, or I don't like being dad? And so I think we need to stop judging each other when we say things like that, because we have to stop saying to other people, how could you? It's
right.
like, just leave it alone. Like, you're allowed to it doesn't mean you don't love your kids and you don't want your kids and you don't love your life. It just means that it's really freaking hard. And so sometimes we need to put that out into the universe so we don't do something else, right? And so when we put it out into the universe and someone says, how dare you, and they judge you instantly, it's just the wrong thing to do, and it's the wrong time to do it. It's never the right time to do it, but especially now, everybody's going through the same thing in the sense that we're all locked down. But that also might be instead of judging, that might be someone who's asking you for help without asking you for help. So look at it that way too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need to start thinking differently when it comes to that sense. But yeah, I ordered the book immediately, and everyone who's watching this should as well, because we can all learn from Danielle and get some, guidance, and know that we're not in this by ourselves. Like, I'm very open about my mental health, right? And so, everyone has their thing. So put it out there, and I'm not saying to normalize it, but like to normalize talking about it, right? Let's not keep considering mental health and alcoholism like taboo. We need to talk about it. We need to put it out there into the universe,
Especially in the real estate industry, there was just times where like I was able to like hide behind, the 3 martini lunch because that's normal. And so you are going to have these lunches with people, and you would never anticipate the desperation and despair that they're going through. So we've got to have these hard conversations and stop having these surface conversations. How many deals do you have in the pipeline? Like, how is your, family? Like, let's talk about the hard stuff, because unless we do, we're not going to move forward. We aren't.
I agree with you 100%. So, we're in an industry that's very competitive, very judgmental. It's, a lot of people are meant to feel like they're not successful. Like, they're meant to feel like if they don't do a certain amount of production, they're worthless. And, that a lot of agents are living closing to closing. And it's very easy for us to fall down a rabbit hole and get depressed, and then to start drinking. And so we just need to be more understanding of that, and stop being so judgmental, and stop acting like, we know everything, and nobody does, right? But anyway, yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad that you got to talk about it. I'm glad I got to talk about it with you. Please go to Amazon, order Suck of Sobriety, read it. It's 360 something. It's the length of a year, right?
It is.
I would suggest reading more than 1 page a day, but because the great thing is, like, they're just thoughts, right? It's so cool. Like, it's just an insight into somebody's brain, It's like reminder. So
it's creepy, huh?
Yeah, and then go leave her a 5-star review on Amazon.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
So Danielle, thank you. I'm glad that we got to have you on here. It's good to see your face. It's been a while. Well, I've never met Danielle in person, by the way, just so everyone knows.
That's so weird.
But when did we meet on Facebook? Like years ago.
Like you weren't even like this at least 10 years ago. Yeah, because I think I was, like there's forever ago.
Times where we almost met in person, like one time in Vegas. But crazy. So that's cool. So I'm glad that I finally got to talk to you in lab coats and put your story out into the world. I feel very honored.
No, I'm honored. Truly, such an honor. It really is.
So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that this was impactful, inspiring, everything all in one. Go get the book, Suck of Sobriety. If anyone wants to reach out to you, Danielle, how can they do that?
They can find me on Instagram, One and Only DG, or they can find me on Facebook. I make myself pretty available.
You're probably the only Danielle Gregorich. So
I know. So weird.
Arizona.
I know.
All right, Lab Coats, thanks for joining us. And I'm glad you are part of this conversation. Sometimes we need to get real. You know what I mean? Everyone have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.